So here he is without further ado. Bake, I got to start here because you, in a normal interview, like, we'd start with 2,000 wins or something important. I was just telling people the story about how you're the only person in the last 20 years I've ever had call me on a hotel room phone and leave a voicemail.
Come
Are,
on. That just shows you how old I am. Plus, I think people are more apt to call. I mean, to answer their hotel phone than they are their own personal phone.
you
Because
think?
yeah,
Uh,
because
'cause
if you're in a room, I mean, it could be an emergency, could be get out or whatever. I mean, I answer my hotel,
I,
uh, because I'm always thinking it could be something. It could be something important from the hotel.
Well, plus with teams, you're used to, so you live a different life than I live. Like
Right.
you're used to, like, you got to go covert ops, right? So if somebody's got your hotel room phone, they must be somebody you actually want to answer the phone,
Yeah,
right?
except hey man, my players don't answer their phones, so hey,
Now
they're
can you
my,
now can
my
you
players are just like you. When you know what they'll answer? They'll answer a text in a minute, and
Well,
and
dude, I text you. I know it's going to take a couple hours for you to figure out how to
you're
type it,
right,
but I
but
got
hey man, I don't sit around holding my phone like who hit me to that was Ken Griffey Sr. probably 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, and he said, "Hey man, he'll call Junior, and Junior won't answer the phone. Then he'll text him, and he'll get back to him in 30 seconds."
Yeah, because then we don't got to have more of a conversation than I don't want to have. Now, I got to ask before I move on from this. Don't give me the one you're using now, unless it's the same. There's got to be, you had to have more different names that you've given hotels that you're under. Like you're not Dusty Baker, you're who? Give me an old one that you used to use that you don't use anymore. I don't want anybody to catch you at a hotel you're
Well,
not supposed to
no, but
be
you
in.
know something? I always use Dusty Baker, but I would turn my
Always.
phone off. Yeah, I would turn my phone off because see, sometimes it would be somebody that I'd want to hear from. You know what I mean? That like one of my homeboys or my cousins that changed towns, and now all of a sudden he'll call. But see, I'll have a do not disturb on my phone, so I can call that person back if I want to call them back or not.
Now,
And
if you're
so
in the garden, do you bring the phone out with you? Because for people who don't know, like
not
the,
usually.
the the real Dusty Baker, I mean that's like your safe haven. That's your
Yeah, it
joyful
is.
spot.
But
Like you're not
so
bringing your phone out there.
no, but my wife makes me take it out there. Just in case I fall out in the 110-degree heat in the summertime, and I got to contact somebody because see, one time my dad was working out in the heat, and he never carried his phone out there, and he was working out in the heat, and he had a bad leg, a stiff leg, and so he fell down, couldn't get up, and my stepsister found him on the ground out there in the heat, and who knows how long he'd
Oh
been
my
out there.
gosh!
Yeah, so like my wife's always afraid that I'm gonna be out because I'll go out there by myself in a minute, me and my
Of
dog.
course. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to talk to anybody when you're out there. That's like your serene spot.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got that right, but that's okay. I'm missing it now. My winemaker's taking care of my grapes in my vineyard. My homeboys are harvesting my garlic and my onions right now. The only thing is I don't have a tomato crop, and they're harvesting actually my plums. My wife bought me some of my plums and apricots from my fruit trees, and
okay.
I'm sharing it with some of my players here.
Okay. Now, what's the way of the garden? Like, what's the consistent, like you just know every day I go into that garden, and even because you probably got some new stuff you like to try, but like, what's your
Yeah,
go-to in the garden?
my go-to is probably collard greens. You know,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, and I can and my daughter's go-to, which I grow for her, or kale. Russian kale
Okay.
and green
Healthy.
kale. Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't do
healthy
I
stuff.
can't do I can't do kale bake. They
Well,
got
I can.
you ever those kale chips? You eat those kale chips?
No, no. You know what I
You
can't
can't
do?
do
Hey, you know what
what?
I can't do, and that I grow for my cousins, my daughter, and homeboys: eggplant and squash.
I love eggplant.
You
Love
do?
eggplant.
Oh
Yes.
man, I grow like 4 or 5 different kind of eggplants. You know what I mean?
And they're strange looking. They're like big purple, like weird shaped
Yeah,
looking. Like
and
nobody
some
knows
of
what an
them
eggplant looks like.
and some
It's
of them have like stripes on it, and when they're hanging there from
They got stripes on it. What are they? Gremlins? What do you mean they got stripes? Really? The stripes on
Some of them,
eggplants?
yeah. Some of them are round, some of them are football shaped with stripes on them. I don't know the name of them.
Okay.
I can just grow them. I can grow anything.
Is this the most hard hitting interview you've done all year?
Oh yeah, it's the easiest one, and plus it's the one that I'm more that's most familiar with me.
I know.
As a person, not as a baseball manager.
I love you, man.
Thing like that.
I gotta, and I want to talk about some of the baseball stuff, but I gotta share one more story. So, and I've said this to you many times. You are the genuine article. Like there are most people. I was saying this earlier, Bake, on the show. Like most people you meet, you don't know if it's a facade, right? Like, are they really as nice and sincere and good people, right? And you hope when you look in the mirror that you're that way, but not everybody that way, right? You're definitely that way. But the first time I realized that you were that way it wasn't the hotel phone, but I think we had worked together like one day. And first of all, like you're, who the hell am I? You're too humble. Who the hell cares what I think? But like, you understand teammates. Right. Yeah. You and I have talked about that many times, like people not understanding. And I want to get into this in a second, actually, because I think it's important. But one of the things that I never have forgotten of many that you've told me, and I can't remember every 3-hour story that we've had at a restaurant because then we'll be here forever. But talking about when you tell a player that he's off the next day, right? And making sure he's off. I never forgot when you. I don't want to say explain it to me because it makes sense, but like I want to almost like pause it and I'll complete the thought I had eventually. I promise. But like that's how much are those kind of things, the things that you learned as a manager over all these years that have been more important than the X's and O's, but people don't get that.
Well, I think probably equal or greater than the X's and O's. Like I've had some good managers that I learned from, and mostly I've learned from great coaches that I had. I had Preston Gomez, I had Danny Ozark, I had, Jim Lefevre. I had one of the greatest of all was Jim Gilliam. And Jim Gilliam taught me, so much about things on and off. And I learned from Florida about telling guys when they're going to have days off, because this is how he would do us. And, there are managers that have taught me how to be, and there's other managers that have taught me how not to be. I had a couple managers say, "Hey, man, my door is always open." Boom, boom. So I went in there, talked to him. He asked me, "What the hell are you doing in here?" So I guess that door, it might have
must be in the wrong door.
Yeah, exactly. And, like I've had some managers that would embarrass you, in front of other players. So I try to not to, embarrass my players in front of, their peers unless they choose that form. If they choose it, now we got a problem. But I just assume talk about it in private in my office, and nobody needs to know about anything that's been being said unless you tell it. And
right.
But like I said, I've had some valuable lessons along the way.
Yeah, and the point being, right, Bake, that like mentally, the baseball season's long. Yes, it's a long season, right? So you got 18 days off, and seemingly like you got 35-day spots where you get none. You tell a guy you got a day off. I mean, he may blow off some steam after a game the night before, right? Maybe
I'm hoping.
No,
but I'm hoping he does, because you may not have that. You may not have that steam to blow off for the next 20 days.
That's right. But some managers, Bake, this. Yeah. Some will then, ninth inning, but I need you in that spot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're tapping him on the bench.
Yeah, but that's happened a couple times. And, Barry Bonds, when you got Barry Bonds sitting on the bench.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. You know how tempting that is. And then Barry would like, hey, man, because one day I put him in the game in the ninth. He tied the game up, and the game went 18 innings or something, right?
He played a whole nother game.
Yeah, exactly. And so his next day off, he goes, "No, Bake, promise me. I'm off the whole day, right?" You don't know how hard that was to say I promised, and I had to do it.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing I'm praying for is a blowout where we don't have to use them.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, but
That's
that's
right.
yeah. So that's what you try to do, and but I also tell them keep the spikes on. You know, stay alert. I'm gonna try to use you only as a pinch hitter that day. You know what I mean? And so that way they can get in and get out, and you know things have worked pretty well. You know, I've had some great players. I mean, so on each
Oh
team.
my God,
Oh
are you
man,
kidding? I love the. I want to ask you about 2000 in a couple minutes, but
yeah,
I love the was reading. I think it was Verlander who said he had asked you like about milestones you've seen. Well, I saw Hank break the record and Bonds break the record. I mean, you, it's amazing the amount of things that you've seen, but that
yeah,
you never forget the person element, right? I
no,
mean, that's the most important part of everything. It's the most important for everything we all do, right? We're both
yeah.
dads, family
And
people.
you know, some Casey, former general manager told me, he said, which I found it to be perfect description of today. And then he says that we've dehumanized the game, and that was as perfect as you can put it. I mean, because these guys are human. You know, they're not some number. You know, they have feelings. They have sensitivities. They have strengths. They have weaknesses, as we all do. They have the same problems. Everybody thinks because you're famous and making pretty good money that you don't have the same problems that everybody else does in society. But you know, your dog's sick, you and your wife had an argument or whatever it is, or something happened
Mm-hmm.
where you still have to go to work, even though people don't see it as work. It's a job. Anything that you're working at and getting paid in. And I remember Pete Rose. I was on first base. I was with the Dodgers, and Pete was getting divorced from his wife, and his dad had died, and right in the middle of his 44 game hitting streak. And I asked Pete, I said, "Man, how are you doing this?" You know, and he said, "Dusty," he said, "whatever problems you have, um, when you left the house, or those same problems will be there when you get back home. So you try to use this as a sanctuary away from your problems." Now everybody can't do that. You know, it was difficult for me to do it because it seems like you can't shake problems when you have them, and if you're playing ball and you're about to hit a baseball, and one hundredth a inch, it could be the difference between a pop up and a fly ball and a home run. And so it's about concentration and discipline is what it's all about, and that's why I admire Pete Rose. Pete Rose was one of the best baseball players that I've ever played
No,
against.
anyone as ever. And it's so funny because of how true that is. And this is, and I look, I know this from a way lesser standpoint than you as an athlete or as a manager. But
Mhm.
the part that to expound on what you were just saying, it's hard going 0 for 4 in a day, whatever your job is, right? When you got stuff at
Yeah,
home. But when you're doing it with millions of people watching you, it's way harder. And that's
yeah,
an element people don't like. You're out there, like if you're in the outfield sitting there between innings, trying not to, I can't even imagine, right? Trying not to think about like a divorce or whatever is going on,
right,
right?
right.
And then you got to go take an at bat. You
Yeah,
also got 50,000 people that in your own home stadium could be booing you if you go strike
yeah.
out. Like I can't even, I mean, I
Or,
only understand
or
an inkling of that. That's
somebody could be
terrible.
sick in your family,
Of course, of
or
course, of
or
course.
a death, or
Of
a
course. Of
friend. I
course,
mean,
man. They've been never giving you enough credit, man. That's
you
why
see,
I'm here.
when I played with Steve Garvey, he would like on days, he had migraines quite often. And then you never knew it. I never knew it until I was there a while, and I'd ask him how was he doing, and he said that he would play for a sick person, whether it was his grandma or a little kid that he knew or whatever it is. You have to, and the hard part is finding a motivation every day, because no matter who you are, some days you don't feel like going to work.
Yeah,
But
that's why when they say never gives up an at bat, in a 162 game season because life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all given up at bats.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was told by Luke Appling when he was my one of my coaches in Atlanta. He said, Dusty, quit giving away at bats. And I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. You know what I mean? And he also told me to be lucky, which I tell my guys, to be lucky, you got to think lucky. You know, take a bad hop or get in the sun or whatever. And he told me you give away at bats by swinging at a bad old pitch that puts you in a hole 0-1 or taking a good 2-1 pitch that puts you at 2-2 and now you're in a strikeout defensive situation. This is how you give away at bats. You know, by not concentrating and I tell you again, I go with Pete Rose and Hank Aaron and Barry Bonds. They did not give away at bats. I don't care what the score was, you know, and that's the same thing I told my son, and he's getting pretty good at it.
Yeah, how about? I mean, what is that like for you, watching all that?
Well,
like watching him grow, not only as a person, babe, but the baseball part of it.
Well, it's really pretty cool. The only thing is, it makes me nervous to have to go watch him because I get more nervous at his games than I did at any of mine.
Right, I mean? Right. Yes.
For your kid, or if a ball's hit to him, and you're like, Lord, let him catch it, and he catches them. Still, you're always trying to dispel those negative thought processes. You know what I mean? And I remember my dad. He came to all my games, but I'm a little different than my dad because my dad would only tell me I did pretty good, no matter how great I did. I said, Dad, how'd I do? Oh, I was pretty good.
He's leaving room. He's leaving room. He don't want you to settle, right?
There was always room. He left a lot of room. So. And so that's the one difference is, the old dudes back in the day, they didn't tell boys that they loved them. They told girls that they loved them. You know what I mean? And I was 30 years old. So I know my dad loved the heck out of me, but I was 30 years old before he told me he loved me. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I like, me too. You know what I mean? So, so I try to tell my son he does well, good job, and I try to tell him that I love him, on a daily basis, and we tell each other. So,
I want to ask you one thing about 2000, and then I'll close with and pay off that story I was going to tell quickly and let you run. When I'm talking to somebody who has now, when I say hung out with, I mean, it may sound like it was longer than what, but anybody who's even seen Jimi Hendrix, for me, because I mean, when I think about the list of people like I wish were still around, right? I love music.
Oh yeah.
When I'm talking to somebody who's hung with Jimmy and done all the baseball things you've done, and then I hear this is the top when you talked about that moment after winning 2000, I got to know why. Why? Why was that the top? What was that feeling like once it sunk in? What was it because of the journey? Was it because of being the first African American manager to do it? Combination? Yeah. What was that feeling for you?
It was a combination of things. A combination of thinking about my dad, thinking about the different managers that I played for, and some of them I passed. And it's sort of weird to think about. I passed Lasorda, I passed Leo DeRocha. I didn't play for him, but here I am about to pass Walter Olson, one of my first managers that I had, and just think about the time. That's a long time, a lot of victories, but it's gone by very quickly. That's the thing about life. I don't care how old you are. It seems to go by quickly. And then I'm looking on my wall here that I have in my office. I got like Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, also John Lee Hooker, and I just got a new one of Gary Clark Jr.
Nice.
There. Yeah, to go along with them old dudes, So it's music sets a tone for my life on a daily basis. First thing I do in the morning, I get up, whatever I want to listen to. Depends on how aggressive I want to be, or if I need to mellow down. Listen to all kind of genres, and it's I don't know what I'd do without music. I mean someday
Amen.
Someday I'd do without baseball, but I'd never do without.
I'm with you. And look, you survived working with me for 2 years, so you can do
Yeah,
anything.
it was really pretty cool. Actually.
How many was it?
Yeah, it was cool, man. I don't know. I mean,
I mean,
and
I feel like everything that you've earned since is all my no, it's not my credit. But I love you, but I got to tell you the story because I know you got to go.
yeah,
And day game after a night game, and you're trying to beat up my Mets again, which is just making me feel bad.
yeah.
Um, the
Sorry, Chuck.
second, yeah, sure you are. Sure you are. Sure
Yeah.
you are. I remember texting you when you were with the Nets. I'm like, can you go easy? Really? Come on now. Um,
The Mets are good. I don't care. The Mets are
hey, they
good.
are good.
Yeah, they're
Hey,
very
you may
good.
be seeing them down the road. I mean,
I heard that. Yeah, I
you
sure
know what I'm
mind.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Especially because that Degrom and that Scherzer guy, who you know well, they're
Oh
pretty
my
good.
God,
So,
I'm telling you, they're good
um,
without him.
but not as good as a massage, and that's where I want to weirdly end this story. So
Yeah,
we worked together one day,
yeah,
and you were now like I know like when it's like your first day of school, like you trying to like make sure that everybody kind of you comfortable and kind of fit in. I feel that every time because what you've done in your life compared to me in this sport. I mean, please. But you asked me to come down to the bottom of the hotel. This is a true story, and
yeah,
and I share this only because I want people like this is you are the genuine article. I walked down the hotel and you said you're going to go over there at a desk and
hmm,
I've already set you up with an hour-long massage before we go into the studio today. Now, I'm
yeah,
telling you right now, like I work for a lot of places.
yeah.
It was hard to get a free coffee at some point. So I
Yeah.
want to tell you, I never forgot that. I don't know if I've had one since, but at
You
some
know
point,
something?
I'm
Hey,
going to turn that around and you're going to walk in somewhere. I'm going to tell Gene, who's making sure all this is going to happen. I'm just going to be like, here's a massage for you.
yeah,
I'm
but
going
you
to
know
get
something? I don't get enough massages myself. Now, I usually get them once a year when I go to Hawaii a couple of times when I'm over there, but I should get massages more. I mean,
yes,
yeah,
we all should.
I'm, thank you very much for reminding me of that.
See?
Yeah,
See?
my wife, she tells me, "You go get a massage." I'm like, I don't have time to get a massage. And it's like, well, you got to make time, you
Hey,
know.
look,
But
man.
yeah, so
When I get an Emmy for this interview that we
all
discussed hotel phones and massages, we'll go get one together. You know I love you, bro. Be
right,
well.
all
Go
right,
easy on my Mets today, and we'll
all right,
catch up
man.
soon. Appreciate you, Bake.
All right, see you in New York.
All right, buddy. We'll do.
All right,
There he
later.
is, the man, the myth, the legend, Dusty Baker. I mean, that is as genuine a dude as literally I have ever. I have said this. You can look at my Twitter. I've probably said this a million times. It feels like there I am over exaggerating again, but maybe 100 times over the last few years since. What have I been friends with Bake? I guess, geez, I don't know, 8 years or whatever it is. I'm telling you, as genuine a human as you have ever met. And no offense to another Casey, except his last name, the mayor. The mayor, there's only one person I've ever like been around enough, like where I could say friend, right? Where I'm like, is there anyone this dude doesn't know? Like, give you an example. And I'm looking at my dog who's sleeping over here. I walk around, I'm approachable, I think. I don't usually have these on. I'm going to be on Obi-Wan next week. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm wearing headphones that look like I'm about to beam up somewhere. But I got my dog over here. I'm approachable. Nobody wants to talk to me. They just want to talk to the dog. The dog can't talk to you, people. He's old. He's cute. He can't talk to you. He just wants to pee. I say that because you be around Bake, nobody talking to you about anything. Nobody's saying anything. All you do is listen because the dude's stories are bananas and he is off his rocker, but he's the best, man. He is absolutely, and I could say this because I know I can call him this, but I call him the old goat. He is something else and something special. We have a lot more special coming at you and to you, and some longer versions too of the podcast as well. But I'm just going to keep kind of churning these out. We got some great guests coming. Hope you enjoyed Dusty Baker. Hope you're enjoying Unfiltered. Please hit me up on Twitter at Casey Stern. We got another list that's coming soon. So I've got my idea for the second one. But if you've got one, if you listen to the first episode that you want to kind of hit me up and say, hey, this is where we should roll with, you let me know, and I'll let you know whether or not you've made the cut. See you soon.